from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I am Forecaster John Bordash here with you in the Storm Center this afternoon, continuing to take a look over all the latest information coming in. You can hear me now. Let me know in the comments before we get too far ahead of ourselves, and we will see kind of how we're going. But we are looking at snow move through the region, which is nice to see. But I guess fortunately for some of you, and I see Erin says she can hear me, unfortunately for the snow lovers, this won't be sticking around too long. And I already see some people saying that they're up to an inch or so, which, okay. I don't think we're going to be sticking around with the snow for too long, though. What we can see right now is that much of the region is seeing snow. We've been seeing snow since about 12:30, 1 o'clock or so for many of you. But what I want you to notice, and it's going to be the easiest for me to kind of switch screens quickly. So my apologies if this looks weird. There we go. And let's come on in here. I believe, there we go. So as we take a look at things, and I want to make sure radar is paused here so I can get a good handle on this. Our rain snow line right now sits right around here, and it is working its way here to the north and east at a pretty good clip. Salisbury's already at 42, down at Tanger Island, Smith Island already looking at temperatures in the mid-30s. And these are just our surface temperatures, the temperatures above our head, which is what's going to help dictate how we transition from snow to sleet and then to rain. Those temperatures are already beginning to warm as well. So we have seen a couple of more moderate and steady bands of snow try to work through the region, which has allowed, upwards of an inch or so for many of you, maybe 2 inches as well, especially areas further west. So many of you have been able to see that, but that my forecast isn't really too different than what it was earlier today, and I really wouldn't get excited for a huge snowstorm out of this. If we zoom out here a little bit, what you're able to see as radar kind of renders here, we have a large slew of moisture down to the south and east. And what I'm actually going to do for you here is take off some of the layers. Let's bring temperatures back. Let's bring this back. Let's get our current temperatures updated the most that they can be. Let that load up. So we are noticing right now is we have what's called a warm tongue, or a slew of warmer moisture or warmer air kind of feeding off here of the Atlantic. And our area low pressure right now sits right down to the south. As this tracks further north, and this is tracking over our area, if not a little west, it's going to bring this slew of warmer air, all that moisture, and it's going to pivot it into our region. And I can show you what this looks like. And this is a really minute thing to see as we kind of push this forward here. I think I need to bring this back one. What we're going to see happen, and let me turn off our current temperatures to not confuse you. You can see how those warmer temperatures work into the region. You can just see, and that's indicative here of these brighter colors, that works into the region here, and we're going to see that switch over happen here pretty soon. And then, yeah, as that area low pressure really gets going, and you can really see how it focuses those warmer temperatures right over our region, because by the point that this is sitting at, we have our area of low pressure right around Richmond. It's bringing down colder and drier air to the west, but out here it is bringing in warm, moist air, and that's really going to punch right into our region, which is really going to allow that switch over to happen. So if we come back to the timing graphic I threw together for y'all earlier today, we're pretty much par for the course, right? We said that we would be looking at that burst of snow around 2. By 4 o'clock, we would have all snow to the north, and then that mix down to the south. So that would be a mix of snow, sleet, or rain. And that is indeed what we are seeing across the region. But I think we will be seeing across the region by 4 o'clock. Right now, around 3, sitting in between those two. We're seeing just about that happen. And we're probably going to be in that transition of a mix here for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 hours before then going over to all rain and then potentially some gustier winds. So we're going to see how this plays out. Temperatures are gradually warming. We have seen our temperatures come up across the region by a couple of degrees so far, and that the rate in which we're going to increase temperatures is going to speed up a little bit quicker than what we've seen as an area low pressure tracks closer to our region. So I do think we're very much still on par with what we were talking about earlier. Maybe we're a degree cooler, which may allow for a little extra snow, but I don't think it's enough to warrant, a complete change to the total forecast here. And I still think, again, we're pretty par for the course. So if I were come over here, show you Futurecast, which is doing a pretty good job. This is brought to you by Chesapeake's Bounty. Check out both locations in this, I believe, St. Leonard and then up in North Beach as well. This is doing a pretty good job, I think, of the way we're looking at things right now. Snow for much of us, that rain snow line sitting right off the coastline of St. Mary's County. It's not too far away at all. And as we put this in motion here, you'll see by 4 o'clock, that's now punching up towards Lexington Park. As we push towards 5 o'clock, it's now pushed up through Lesby, Lexington Park. By 6 o'clock, it's really kind of racing northward now. We're up here near the Dunkirk and La Plata area. And then by 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, we're pushing this all the way up here to DC, Annapolis. So this transition over to snow is likely, our transition from snow to rain is likely to still happen. And this evening we're looking at some heavy rain, potentially 1 to 2 inches of rain. And our model in terms of snowfall, if I bring that up here for you, snow accumulation, make sure we're at the right, there we go. It's not doing too much, so this would be any additional, maybe you get an additional ½ inch across parts of the region. The Plata up here, you might be able to squeeze out an additional inch on what you have, so that might put some of you closer to 2 or 3 inches, but to be fair, well, I said 1 to 2, you're in that 1 to 3 contour, so we'll count that as a win. But yeah, it's our Bayside locations, I don't think we're looking at, a whole bunch of accumulation. And I do see a couple of comments talking about, we're looking at some rain, some sleet, but areas further west, maybe your temperatures have dropped. And the reason that would have happened, and I think it's going to be easier if I bring you on over here so I can kind of demonstrate for you. The reason that would have happened, if I bring all of our current layers back on, and you can actually see this occur if we put this back in motion, and I'm sorry that the radar does that initially. It'll get its act together here. And it might be hard if you're watching on a phone, but what you might notice up here, Andrews Air Force Base, we go from 23 to 22. Down here, St. Mary City, we kind of fluctuate 32, 33, 34, 33. The reason those small changes are happening, where the temperature will fall a degree or two as the precip starts, is because this is an occurrence we refer to as wet bulbing. So if we were to kind of try to draw this out for you, you have your air temperature. Let's say and this is going to look weird. I think the best if I just get a white surface to show you all kind of how this this plays out. So let's just change this over. Let's get the radar off of here. Just go into paint. So you have your temperature, right? Let's just say this line here represents your temperature, and let's just say you're sitting at 33 degrees. But your dew point, which can never be higher than the temperature, which is a measure of the moisture in the air, is sitting down here at 27 degrees. These two are going to work together to be close to the same number when you have precip ongoing. So if these two meet in the middle, this temperature will come down as your dew point comes up and they meet in the middle. It doesn't always meet right in the middle, but you would then see your temperature fall down to around 30 degrees when that precip starts. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me that some of us are seeing that transition here over to we've seen temperatures cool off a little bit. What I would show you, though, as evidence of why I don't think that's going to be the case for much longer, if we look down here to the southeast, Virginia Beach is at 50, Chincoteague 42, Norfolk right around 45, 47 degrees, and those temperatures have been rising as this area low pressure, which again is centered right over the Charlotte metro area, right around here, is just surging that warm, moist air to the north. So we're holding on to some colder air, which is damming up here right along the mountains and the coastal plain. But as this area low pressure speeds up, and this is going to start to really ramp up here, as it speeds up and moves north, that warm tongue we've been talking about is really going to pivot in so that we get that area, if we show that for you again, that warm tongue really comes right into our region, and it's going to be a small area where you get those temperatures that are, pretty warm. This right here would generally represent about your 40-degree line. Right through here is going to be roughly your 50-degree line, and then out here is kind of like your 60-degree line. So you can see how as that area low pressure, sits out here and it tries to doop, and it kind of punctures here into parts of Delmarva, parts of Southern Maryland, Northern Neck. So we'll continue to watch how, we'll see how this goes. As things stand right now, though, we do still have snow. Maybe some of you have seen a little bit more snow than I would have thought, but yeah, we can see. And if we bring up a different one of our radar products here, I've been watching this one. Let's get this off of this craziness. Let's bring you out over here. This is our sensitive radar. It really, and it normally does a pretty good job of pinpointing this. It really brings that rain snow line here really close. And some of you down towards Lancaster, Irvington are probably switched over to sleet and rain. That's where our radar pinpoints that rain snow line. If we take a look at what's called the correlation coefficient, which it helps us to determine what the shapes of the items falling through the atmosphere. So when you get a purple, that means things are pretty similar. That means it's either all snow, all rain, and they're roughly the same size. The raindrops are roughly the same size. Where you can get pardon these crazy colors out towards Salisbury, but where you can get some of these oranges and yellows, that would be indicative of different size shapes in the atmosphere. So that would be maybe like a snowflake and a sleet pellet, or a raindrop, or you get different size shapes. And what we're starting to notice, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere, right through this region, we're beginning to notice, and it's small things like right over here. These are small areas that are beginning to show us where in the upper levels of the atmosphere we're beginning to see that switch over occur. So yes, you might be sitting at 1 or 2 inches of snow right now, and you might be getting your hopes up that maybe the forecast is busting low. I would really caution you to get too excited though. And Wendy says, looks like freezing rain in Great Mills, and that's very possible that that's happening. If I come back over here to a paint document to show you, right? So, and I have a whole graphic that's kind of shown up that makes this look a lot nicer, but I don't have that at the moment. So right down here, this is where we live. This is you, right? That's my representation of a person, and then up here are the clouds, and that thousands of miles up in the atmosphere. The air that is cold enough to support snow, we'll just refer to as cold air. 34 degrees is still cold, but by precipitation type standards, not so much. The way we see this happen, and I guess we'll do it this way. So when the entire column of air here is below 32, you'll see snow, but where you start to get this warm air intrusion, which is that warm tongue we're talking about here, where you get upper air temperatures that might be sitting at 35 degrees, but you're still sitting at 30. That level of air that is, you can't really see all of that, but when the column of air above your head is largely above freezing, so all of this is 35 degrees, and that's very simplistic. And it's only this small little layer down here where you're sitting at the surface at 30. That doesn't allow enough time for the snowflake that has melted to refreeze, so that then will lead to some freezing rain, which is still very, very where was I going with that? Oh, it's still very likely that is beginning to occur for some of you. I believe our product here should allow us, I want to see if I can get this loaded. Oh, these would be our 850 temperatures. Awesome. Do we have 925? No. Well, that's sad. But currently, and actually I think what might be better is if we use the model fill on this. Let's bring it to where we are right now. Let's get 850 temperatures. So actually here at the surface, right, that freezing line sits about, that's not a color you'll be able to see. So we'll kind of demonstrate this. The freezing line right now, and just work with me. sits right around here, right? So at the surface, that black line represents our freezing temperature. Let's go up a layer in the atmosphere, though, several hundred feet above our head. That freezing line now sits, sits somewhere just like this, where everything north of that line is above freezing. Now, if we switch this over to, and was that as far up as we go with that? Our 700. This doesn't want to work for me. The point I'm trying to demonstrate here that, of course, is difficult for me to make right now because our program doesn't want to work with me is that our upper levels of the atmosphere are warming. And another thing that shows me that that's happening is this area of wintry mix that's happening that's now reached Richmond. That is all now mostly occurring at a longitude that is further west than much of our region, which tells me all of this down here in Virginia Beach, that is just priming and getting ready to move up into our region. So, we'll see. And I see someone say, Steve reporting King George with some winds. Steve, next Friday. Today's storm is supposed to be a 30-inch snowstorm, so please refrain from looking at those crazy height images. So no, next week will not be 2 feet of snow. But we're gonna see this changeover happen, and I feel like right now I'm just like kind of arguing that point as to why it'll happen. But yes, I mean, if I was down here, I would be pretty excited to see snow and still see snow, and maybe temperatures fall a little bit, so I get excited. But we'll kind of see how all of this kind of comes together. Commutes tomorrow are going to be difficult northwest of DC. If we turn off some of these layers, I can kind of draw this for you, and we'll make a map that looks a little bit nicer later on today. Regions kind of, I didn't really make that too well up to the north. Kind of like this. These regions are probably going to see some high commute impacts tomorrow morning. Areas that are like this, probably a little bit more moderate. And then areas down here more low. And this is because we will see a refreeze tomorrow morning as temperatures fall back down. So many of us the rain that falls overnight and the snow that's fallen, that melts, will cause slick spots. So that will be a concern tomorrow. And I've said that a lot. So tomorrow we will have a refreeze to contend with some slick spots. Further northwest, though, where you're able to see more snow and the rain holds off longer and temperatures get down colder tomorrow morning, you're going to see higher impacts with more numerous slick spots. And I see Tina's also reporting sleet and rain in Leonardtown now. So that, again, more evidence that we are seeing, that transition happen. So, and radar doesn't always do the best. If we come back over here, yeah, we can see, and that doesn't surprise me. And this is one of our high resolution radar products. This right here, where we have those lower correlation coefficient values here in northwest of Leonardtown, tells me that at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we are looking at some mixing happening. So I think we're going to see that really become an issue for many of us here in short order. Steve is saying rain on over towards Drum Point. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Probably if we come back over here, you might have a little bit more time with some snow than, I wouldn't even say more time than expected, because I don't think we're going to see more snow. We've just seen heavier bands set up. So you might see a little bit more snow than I forecasted, just a little bit. But I don't think this is a situation where, like, we forecasted an inch and you're going to see 4. I don't think that'll happen. I think what you're going to be able to accumulate is really where you're at over the next couple of hours. But what will be important is if you can go out and measure and send those reports to me. You can tweet them at me at JB_weather, or just comment them somewhere on Facebook to give me an idea of where we're sitting at. That is helpful. And make sure you get that measurement done before the switch over to sleet and rain, because that will compact and melt your snow depth. So do that now, and then right before that switch over to sleet. And I mean, that helps me. So that is just about what we're looking at right now. Not too much more to report. I'm working on a Patreon update on the weather week ahead, and then I'll have my 10-day forecast out sometime later on this evening, and we'll do another one of these lives later on as well as we continue to see things kind of move around. So have a nice and safe one. Keep it tuned here to JB Weather. I continue to keep you updated, posts on Facebook, on Twitter at JB_weather, and we'll continue to watch how all this plays out. And fingers crossed we can see more snow, but we'll see. We're already up to 34 in St. Mary's City, so that switchover is happening, and it will be mighty quick to happen. So have a nice and safe one, and keep it tuned right here.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.